Welcome to our video tutorial on how to run elections for your student organization. We're going to cover what's required when you hold elections and some techniques for actually holding the elections. Let's start zoomed out. It's required for all student organizations that you hold elections first off. You can't just choose officers, aside from when an organization first registers. Some organizations might have used interviews to decide their next officers, and unfortunately that's not allowed. You can do informational interviews and promote their answers to help the members make an educated decision, but the election itself must still be open to any active member. If you're worried about the wrong person being chosen, you can do your best to make sure that the group is educated on who would be the best fit. So doing interview questions or speeches can help with that. You can't discriminate who can run for office, so for example, you're a religious group, you can't mandate that someone must be your religion to be elected. You'll just have to trust the group voting that they'll make the best choice. If you have an advisor or multiple advisors, they can help you in this process, but they can't choose officers for the club. They cannot vote on the outcome, and they cannot veto any decision. They are there to strictly advise. For any election or amendment to your constitution to pass, you must reach quorum. The standard quorum is 50% of your active members plus one person, so just over half. If less than 50% of your active members vote, the election is not successful. You can amend this number in your constitution, but 50% plus 1 is what we recommend. It's important now to define what an active member is. If your club has 300 members, you might be concerned about getting 151 people to vote. In your group's constitution, you can define what makes an active member. Maybe they have to attend a certain number of meetings or events, so you can narrow down to the folks that really should be making decisions, not just anyone who's listed on your roster, and that's it. If you define active member and you restrict voting to attendance, that means that you'll need to keep accurate records of who actually attended things, so that you can validate who can and can't vote in upcoming elections. Now let's talk about the timeline for elections. For most organizations, you want to do your elections either at the end of winter or beginning of spring. This sounds early to you? We suggest this because it gives you time to transition, which is something that many clubs don't do. If you know your next president throughout spring, you can train them, prepare them, give them everything they need so that when they actually take the position, they're ready to go. The worst case scenario is doing elections at the end of spring. A new president gets elected, and the former president graduates immediately, meaning that the new president has zero context, wasn't able to get any sort of training, doesn't know what they're doing, and it puts the group through a very tumultuous process. So let's pretend you decided to hold elections week 1 of spring. That seems early enough. You put feelers out for nominations, and your constitution says that people can either nominate themselves or someone else. You gather all the nominations, and you want your members to be educated, so you have them fill out a questionnaire asking about their vision for the club, past experiences, and why they want the position. You post all of their answers online for people to read in preparation for voting. Some groups have very simple elections that can be done in person, assuming that you meet your quorum. You can create a checkbox form for them to fill in and have someone impartial or not involved in elections tally the results. With technology becoming more prevalent, it might be convenient for you to do elections online, especially if you need to meet quorum. Highlander Link features an elections tool that we'd encourage you to check out. Only those with administrative power on Highlander Link can access this. At bare minimum, your primary contact can do this. Go to your main student org page and click on the button that says Manage Organization. This next page looks empty, but if you click on the upper left name of your org, it gives you a drop-down menu where you can select Elections. This next page shows some past elections for our example, but for your page, it's likely empty. You can click the Create Election button to start the process. First off, you start pretty broad. Click the Include Instructions box and type some info for them. This might include the window they get to vote and other stuff they might need to know up front. You'll check the Active box and then set your window for the election to run until. If you check the box for displaying an alert, that means anyone that visits your Highlander Link page will see something prompting them to vote. That's usually a good thing. The second checkbox is for restricting voting to people on your roster. Let's talk about that. It's a good idea to check this box. If you don't, one of the candidates might share the link with their friends and start a snowball of non-members voting. But if you check this box, It means every active member eligible to vote needs to be listed on your Highlander Link roster. So your homework first thing before doing any of this is to get your roster up to date. We have a handy video tutorial for how to invite and remove members. Watch that for more tips. Once you've done all this, you'll move on to the next page. This allows you to start creating ballots. If you're doing simple elections without any interview answers, written essays, etc., you could get away with creating one ballot and all of your answers together. But if your election has a lot of info to read through, you can create ballots for each race. Now this page looks a little confusing. You put a ballot title and then you can either enable or disable general access. Always leave this enabled. Putting an eligibility list sounds like a good idea here, but Highlander Link recognizes users based on their first name, last name, at email.ucr.edu address, which you probably don't know. So by trying to put an eligibility list, it could backfire and not allow anyone to vote. So just leave it enabled, then hit save. Your ballot starts empty, but you can add questions. Again, if it's simple, you can just add each decision on this one page. You want to make sure to use the radio button list option for your questions, because that allows you to pick only one choice. You could also have folks rank the candidates if you have that many. If your ballot is long and you want to include some text info, you can use the instructions box to put text here, such as each candidate's written statements. Then after those statements, you'd add your radio button to make a decision. The text field option allows them to write in something, so you can use this if they're entering comments or a write-in candidate. You can also edit any question you place and decide if it's required or not. When you're done with this ballot, you can click the Back to Ballots button and either create a new one or finish up the process. Let's pretend you included all of your voting on one page, and now you're ready to send it out to folks. Make sure your window of activity is open, so don't send this out before your assigned time. When you click on Publishing Options, it'll ask you again about displaying on your org page, and it'll also give you a direct link to the election, which you can include in emails or post on social media. Now let's pretend that enough time has passed and you want to check the results. Click on Results and you'll see summaries. It won't show you what people voted for, but it will separately show you results, and it'll show you a list of people that voted, in case you need to send reminders in order to meet quorum. And when your window is closed, you'll have your results. That's the basic gist of setting up an election in Highlander Link. Try it out and see if it works for you. But remember, you can always do old school paper forms too. If you have questions about any of this, or you want help creating your online election, you can set up an appointment with your student organization advisor and they'll help you out. You can schedule a meeting by either calling Student Life at 951-827-7344 or by stopping into Hub 229 and making the meeting in person. Thanks for watching.